Hi, it's Marilyn Price, taking you on a round-the-world trip. Fasten your seatbelts. I cannot fasten mine because I'm going to be moving around just a little bit. We are taking you around the world, starting here in my studio, and then we're going to go not very far because all the characters I want you to meet are in my studio, but then I'm going to take you back again. So first thing up is know that every puppet I make and use in my programs is from the United States of America because that's where I live. And same is true of the puppets you're going to meet today. Some of them have stories that match the country, and some of them are crafts, and some of them are both. So I am anxious to introduce you to, look who's right here, right next to me. A beautiful puppet from the, look at her hands, which is a prayer position, by the way. She is one of the Eastern cultures, very lovely, and she moves. Actually, she doesn't move very much, just her arms, and the rest of her follows suit. Thank you very much for coming right up. But you leaped the gun here. So as you can see behind me, there are some very familiar characters, and I will bring you up close once we return home to my studio, even though I never made them. I think maybe you can see, if you look very carefully, a very famous puppet made in the United States. He was called Kermit the Frog, still is, and he is one of the Muppets. Way in the back there, you can't see them really well. I think I'll pick up one of my favorites to show you are some other Muppet characters, and those, well, let's see, who would like to come and make an appearance. One of the very first Muppets that was not on the show that all that much was Fozzie Bear, and he is I think that's Beethoven the puppet. Or, excuse me, Beethoven, because Fozzie played piano, right? Beethoven the Lego. Oh, something else from another country that we use a lot of. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to swivel around a little bit, and I'm going to take you on just a tiny little tour of my space to see who you might want to meet before we go over we'll do them later. So I'm going to take you, and all the characters you're seeing, these particular stories were from France, Babar, but the puppets were from here, because guess who made them? This particular story is an Italian tale, although it was written by a fabulous Tommy DiPiola here, and the puppets are from here. So they don't, it's sort of cross-culture, right? And here is Charlie Chaplin, who was definitely not American, but so cool. And now you may have remembered these two guys here. They're from Germany. So they're sitting in the periphery because today is not about them. And now this puppet, maybe someone out there in the audience can help me find out where she is from. She's just beautiful. She's a string puppet. Fabulous face. And the place I bought her, not only did she not have any markings of where she's from, they didn't know where they got her either. Upside down over here, that's Mr. Punch. He is from England, from an artist in England, albeit the story is not. The story, if you recall, and I'm hoping you do, is from Italy in the 16th century. Then it traveled. Speaking of Italy, there's Pinocchio just hanging around. So watch the spinning globe. No, I'm back. I'm going to put it down. I can move the world. You can too, if you have the right spirit. Okay, so we're just going to go to a few countries. My game plan today, I always have a game plan, is to make sure that at some point I remember that I could take all of these puppets from other countries and put them together in one story. So I'm going to be thinking about that, writing some notes during the weeks until we meet again, and tell you a story using them. Now, here is one, has been with me, long time. and one of my all-time favorite puppets. Sometimes I say that about all the puppets, so they shouldn't be insulted. But one of the reasons I love her is it was given to me by my dear friend, and Jo. So here she is. And she, maybe you may know, is a Mexican string puppet. She has only 4 strings, making it virtually impossible, but not necessarily for me to tangle her. But string puppets, each of them has a name by what they move. Arm, arm, head, and most important, the bowstring. Yes. From Mexico, beautiful country of Mexico. Please note her fabulous sandals. When I got her some 30 plus years ago, she had castanets, I think they were. And she, if I moved her right, could bang them together and make beautiful music. But as you can see, she's a little worn for wear, but I have tried to string her a couple of times and she still can do a dance. There she can dance on my hand. Thank you very much. You want to sit down? You're exhausted. You're so old. Okay, you want to take a nap? Ooh, yes, nice siesta. It is siesta time right here. So she is from Mexico, where they make beautiful puppets and beautiful stories. So remember that when we put our story together. We have a dancing maiden from Mexico. And we put her gently down so I do not tangle even those 4 puppets. So they're going to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries today. We're going to end up here, and I will show you some of my dear sweet friends from this country. I think the first stop we'll make, although I have no order in mind, I think we're going to go to England. And these, even though I just showed you another English puppet, Mr. Punch, these were given to me by a friend who was visiting England and knew that I would like them. So what I love about them is not the story. I am not a big Punch and Judy fan, although it was a political satire. And are you going to help me, Mr. Punch? That's very odd. Mr. Punch doesn't know anybody. I'm going to, oops, Mrs. Punch, you okay? Oh, there she is. Okay, now, there they are. Punch and Judy. This is Judy. This is Punch. He's notoriously for getting into trouble and not being a very nice person. Right? But Judy is our savior. And I do believe that she wins out in the end. So, but I want you to take one good, careful look at them. I think they were probably made from similar molds. They are cast molds. They're very light, so they're probably not even plaster, maybe a very light sheen. And their bodies are made of felt. And let them hug each other, but no, Mr. Punch and Judy do not get along too well, and that is shown in the end of the story. They are traditional hand puppets, and a puncher. I'll tell you a little bit about a puncher. Puncher would be in a box, not seen. It's called a proscenium stage, and there would be someone in the audience that would egg them on. That was called a clacker. So if things got a little bit too quiet, then the clacker would yell at either Punch or Judy or the policeman. There was always somebody, and then they could respond to the audience, bringing the audience into the center of the story. So first one I'm getting rid of is Mr. Punch because he's always getting into trouble. And then there's Judy, dear sweet Judy. That's very nice, Judy. Thank you for helping to save the day with your big, beautiful blue eyes. Sorry about Mr. Punch. You gotta watch out for that, okay? And that's 2 puppets from England. So as long as we're there, kind of there, we're not real close. Oh, I know. We can go to Portugal. Portugal is known for making objects out of felt. And this puppet, oh, so beautiful, was brought to me by a friend as well. I think I travel a lot. No, I just send my friends away to buy me puppets. Pretty mean looking there, isn't he? Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's not. Yes, the wolf is always designated as the bad guy. So sometimes I like to make him as the much picked on, bullied puppet, and that's why he gets so mad sometimes. So a good conversation is not a bad idea, and that's great for puppets. Why? Because you can talk to your puppet. Behave yourself, bud. Okay, all right. We're not going to cast you, excuse the expression, in any story that makes you the bad guy. Would that make you happy? Yeah. The problem with Mr. Wolfie here is that his snout here, it's called the snout, gets in the way of his applause. So just take a bow, go off stage. Thank you for coming. All right. So I'm exhausted. How about you? I know we're going to the Czech Republic. I like these two puppets because they themselves could make one story. They're called cone puppets. And guess why? They live in here. They live in there. So who would like to come out first? It's hard for me to get them both out at the same time. So, the village boy. So he pops out, and you move him around with the stick underneath. And the harder you pull up the stick, the better he moves. And then when he's finished, he does this. Sometimes disappears just like that. He is a lovely character, and the company that made him is called True Lala. True Lala. Okay, so this is we're going to say a peasant boy made in a cone puppet, which is very typical of that country. But this one we can definitely use in our story, and you'll see why. Let me find his face. Hello. I hope you're not worried about things like this, because he's definitely a good cop. There he is. Good cop. Look to the right, look to the left, and we're going to, he's waving in a very awkward way. Okay, do you want to disappear now? Have you seen if there's trouble around? Could you look to the right? Any trouble over there? No trouble. Okay, we'll look over there. See any trouble over there? No trouble. So what have we got here? We have got Wolfie from Portugal. We have the village boy, I'll call him, or man, and the policeman from the Czech Republic. And this, not terribly far away, is a puppet I found on a trip. So I found it, but I wasn't where she is from. And her name is Babushka, and she is from the Ukraine. How do you do, Babushka? Look at that face. Is that on a face? Thank you. Very nice face. And she's called Babushka because she is wearing a scarf that is called you want to tell them? Babushka. Babushka. Thank you very much, Babushka. But she's also, I like to think, a grandma. We like grandmas, right? You like me? Give me 5. Excellent. Do you want to give 5 out there? I want to give her 5. So sweet, Babushka. So now we have a grandma, a wolf, our Mexican dancing girl. We have a policeman, and we have a country boy. Oh yes, Punch and Judy. And you could fit all these characters into a Punch and Judy show, except we're not doing a Punch and Judy show. No. And I have one last puppet from China. Now, the problem with my China puppet is this. Very old. Old when I got her, and very fragile. But I like to show you this puppet because puppets from China, shadow puppets, were the beginning of a whole lot of amazing things. So I'm going to bring her about. Although actually I take it back. It's a he. So I want you to look really carefully. And you can see through this puppet's clothes. Not because of the holes, but because it is stretched so fine. This is called a shadow puppet. And isn't that cool? When the light came through the puppet, it was colored. So the cast was colored. And I have heard many things about these puppets, but one of my favorite things to hear about them is that they are the formation of animation because of the colors that were projected. Now you're probably saying to yourself, why is Marilyn Price holding that puppet by its neck? So here's the secret. I carried these around from school to show the kids. And the cool part about these puppets is that shadow puppets are hard to work. There's somebody backstage. There's usually 2 people on every puppet. And the costumes always stayed the same, but the hairdos change. And in this culture, it's the hairdo that tells you who you are. So my puppet here had many different head styles, and somewhere in the world, that's where they are, but they're not with me today. So we can just call this, which is another great character for our story, the headless. Could be a samurai, depending on its hair, but it doesn't have hair. So that is a very good example. Not a good example. That is the part of a very good example of a puppet, a shadow puppet from China. So what do we have here? Think about it. We have hand puppets, shadow puppets, two different kinds of hand puppets too. We have pop-up puppets. We have string puppets. You saw the Pakistani puppet with the movable arms and rods. That's called a rod puppet. Basically, we have all types of puppets. To put them to, oh, I'm sorry, Pinocchio. I forgot about you. We have a string puppet hanging around back there. So what do you think I could do if I put these all together on our Magical, Wonderful Mystery World Class Tour? Well, you're just going to have to wait because I don't know yet. But you can think about it. So if you haven't figured it out yet, one of the great things about having a puppet collection that friends bring me is they always know what to buy me. It's great. I love it. And to get some unusual ones. I am going to take you on one last trip around so you can see a couple of significantly cool puppets. So like the globe, we're going back here. And I want you to see what can be made, not by me necessarily, in America. All right, so right up here is this incredibly gorgeous string puppet grandma. She's from a puppet making company in Vermont. She's going to wave to you. Yeah, she's sitting on her lap. You just may recognize a very famous lamb called Lamb Chop, who was born and raised in California by a puppeteer, amazing puppeteer named Sherry Luce, and is now worked by her daughter Mallory. Back here, I showed you some other puppets, well, Legos, from one of our very, very famous puppeteers, Jim Henson. And I thought we would end our world-class tour with a very American guy, and that would be my puppet creation of Benjamin Franklin, waving the flag. Thank you. Well, he's not waving it. I'm helping him out there. So if you look around the studio, you will see puppets made in America by a puppeteer, perchance you know, and that would be me. So how do we round up our world-class tour? Whew, I don't know about you, but I could use a glass of water. Think about this. If you have any puppets that you can use and tell a story with, that would be magical for me. This is Marilyn Price. You can see this show again and again on my Facebook page, on the Mentor Project Facebook page, on a brand new site, the Try Braining Facebook page. And you can see us, of course, on YouTube. And then who knows? Oh, yes, LinkedIn. How could I forget LinkedIn? Poor me. So I thank you very much for coming. And I hope that your day is a beautiful day filled with stories and endings that work for you. I thank you for coming.